How to make money through doing nothing. Sounds good. I apologize for bringing you here under false pretenses. I've tricked you because I'm not really going to talk about doing nothing and making money. I'm going to talk about prosperity as a whole. Prosperity is an entire life phenomenon. It's about our creativity. It's not just about making money. Making money is a byproduct of prosperity. And so I'm here to introduce you to the gene keys and to a sequence in the gene keys called your Pearl sequence. And if you're interested, you can go online to genekeys.com and you can download your free profile. And in there, you will see your Pearl sequence if you dig a little bit. And when you look at this little sequence, you're going to learn some things about your relationship to prosperity and your relationship to money. And 3 questions emerge. There's 3 spheres and they're linked together through 3 pathways. And there's a sphere in the middle, the 4th sphere, which is also linked to all of them. And there's a sequence for moving through this. And it's about how we are designed to prosper in life. And the first question from the first sphere, which is called the sphere of vocation, the question is, what do I most love doing? Great question. And our vocation arises from this question, what do I most love doing? Our true vocation in life. So when you put in your Pearl sequence, you'll see there's some words in there for you that give you a clue as to about your vocation and your calling. And the word is just the energy, the archetype that gives you an insight into what you are here to do. And the thing that you most love doing is actually your path towards enlightenment. It's your path towards self-realization. And it's in that sphere, the sphere of vocation also, where all our woundings lie, particularly around money and wealth and prosperity and all of that, and sharing and generosity. And so it's really powerful to begin to contemplate, well, what is the gene key in my profile that relates? What is the archetype that that prevents me from doing the thing I most love? And what does the thing I most love look like and feel like? And what is the word that represents that? And then the next thing that happens out of that pathway is we follow out of that sphere is we follow a little pathway called the pathway of initiative. And this is always called the pathway of initiative. And what it says for all of us is it says, well, when you know the thing that you most love doing, do it. Decide to do it. And figure out how you're going to keep doing it. That's part of the decision of making the initiative, of having the courage and the boldness and the commitment to do the thing you love. Let's say you love playing the piano, but you just think, well, I can't do that. You get a job to support you playing the piano if you can't make money out of playing the piano, because playing the piano is the thing that matters the most to you. But then you get up at 5 a.m. each morning and you play for 2 hours because that's the thing. It's not the job. The job is just supporting that. And you play at the weekends. You just do it. And nothing should stop you from doing the thing you love. Right. And that's what begins to change everything. And that brings us to the next sphere called culture. And in that little sphere, you'll see there's another gene key, there's another archetype, there's another set of words that relate to you. Who do I love doing it with? That's the second question. Who? Because this is called the culture. So it's who you draw in. When you do the thing you love, it automatically draws in people. So if you play the piano, sooner, and you really love playing the piano, soon people are going to start to notice that. And things are going to happen around you, around it. And it might come in lots of different ways. And there are 6 lines in that sphere, in all of these spheres. So there's a little dot after your gene key, and then there's one of 6 numbers. If you're line 1, you just play for your own joy, because you're an entrepreneur. And you make something creative out of your playing. If you're a line 2, it's about partnership. You find a partner. Maybe they play the violin, maybe they play the bass. It doesn't matter. You start riffing with them. And out of that flows growth. We'll talk to that in a moment. If you're a line 3, it's a small group. So you form maybe a band, or you form you form something so that there's different sets of music coming out of you. If you're a line 4, you play out in the community. It's a bigger play. It's a bigger sphere because you've got to touch people in lots of different ways. If you're a line 5, you're a leader in that respect. So you might become a piano teacher. You might help others. You might show them how to find joy in the piano. If you're a line 6, you may do all of these things. And at the end, it's just about playing for love. There's no need for others to even hear you. So there's lots of different ways you can understand through your Pearl sequence, through this sphere of culture. The culture shows you your platform in life, and it leads to the pathway of growth. And growth leads to brand. This is the sphere at the top. And growth is always aligning your culture with your brand. You see, the moment that you follow your vocation, you're destined to grow. That energy, that creativity is destined in some way to grow because it's the thing you're here to do. It's always been the thing you're here to do. And so that brand is about how you play and the exquisiteness with which you play, and it's something to be refined. So your culture, which is the people, gets aligned with your brand, and you have to refine your brand to reflect the values of your culture. You can apply this to business. Obviously, I'm talking in that sense. But there's another question that emerges out of this sphere. How can we best serve the whole? And you don't have to answer that question right away, but the group has to answer that question. How can we best serve the whole? If you're playing the piano, the answer to that question will simply arrive because you just keep playing. Because you keep playing, that's what creates the synchronicity that question gets answered. And that's what brings us to the final pathway called the pathway of service, which brings everything back and then creates a quantum effect. And service is about sustainable growth. It's not just growth that goes out of control and then destroys the world around it because it starts leaching energy from everywhere. This is about your vocation, the thing you love, initiating some form of connectivity, the culture, and then something organic starts to grow out of that connectivity. And it may grow slowly over many years, or it may grow fast overnight. That is not in your control. But the culture, the people, the team who get involved, who come around that together with you, represent the values of the original founding energy, or not. It doesn't. It can easily get perverted and become something completely different from what it was at the very beginning. That happens all the time in the world. But the point is that following your vocation from the very beginning, your true vocation leads to this quantum. It leads to this question of how can we then serve the whole? Because everything that flowers is designed to be offered back to the whole, to create this flourishing, this abundance. Prosperity is designed to offer itself back to the whole. And that is really the nature of the pearl. So when you look at your pearl, the one in the middle, this is you prospering. This describes you prospering. And that's why it's about doing nothing. Because the ancient Chinese, they call this Wu Wei, the art of doing nothing outside your own nature. And that's what I'm talking about here today. Do nothing outside your own nature. Do the thing you love, and it leads to you prospering. And there are lots of ways in which we are designed to prosper, and the Pearl tells you that, but I'm not going to go into that today. I did a podcast recently with Rick Rubin, lovely man, and, what I learned from him, because he's a great creative artist, musician and music producer, is don't compromise, Never compromise your art or your creativity. And if you're designed to go and become famous, it will happen by mistake, without you ever meaning it to. If you aren't designed to be famous, be thankful, because it would have throttled you and your creativity. So do not pander to the outside forces or expectations, and don't compromise your art or your vocation, whatever it is. Because that's what will lead to the good fortune in your life of you being fulfilled and prosperous on levels beyond, your kind of imagination. And prosperous doesn't mean necessarily lots and lots of money or lots and lots of fame. It simply means prosperous. It means that everything in your life just hums and you feel great. So remember these 3 questions from the Pearl sequence. What do I most love doing? Who do I most want to do it with? And how can we best serve the whole together? That's the formula of your success or of your Pearl right there. The rest is just you sitting under the tree, and the money, which is simply the flow, will come in the right amount, in the right way, and at the right time. You've probably heard all this before, but prosperity is way more than money. It's about finding your true vocation and your true allies in life, what the ancients call your true dharma, the way in which you are designed to offer back service to the whole. So if you like the sound of this and you kind of little intro tour to your Pearl sequence, take a look at it, contemplate it, and come and learn about it. We're about to launch an online retreat, and you can find out all about the Pearl and join me and my friends and the Gene Keys community as we explore it together in the coming months. It's an incredible opportunity. It's really inspiring, uplifting. I think and hope it will help anyone find a level of flow and prosperity in their life that was previously perhaps not fully available. So happy for you to join us. Please consider it. Take a look at the links and all the, you can find out a lot more just by looking in through these, clicking the little buttons and find out more. Much love, and hope to see you there on the retreat.